Hey fellas, your commissioner here, coming at you for a little week four of NFL action. Can you believe it? We're already a month into the season. Wow. Time flies when we're having fun with friends, doesn't it? Start off here as we always do. The Hogs, of course. I would say eked out a victory. What was it, 24-14? One of the ugliest games of college football I've seen in a long time. I think there was a combined, 7 turnovers. Auburn threw a lot of interceptions, gave up a fumble as they were about to score a touchdown. Talon, Mr. Inconsistent, Mr. Anthony Richardson. Great value Anthony Richardson. That's what Talon Green is, folks. But boy, whenever it goes right, looks pretty good. Jaquindon, pretty good. Certainly don't run the ball enough, I'll tell you that. But, whatever. Win's a win, conference win. We're not going to go winless in conference, so that's encouraging. But, honestly, as bad of a game as Auburn had, the fact that we only beat them by 10 points is pretty damn embarrassing, to be quite honest with you. I mean, it should have been we should have beat them 42-14 as bad as they played. I'm not exaggerating. I mean, whatever, right? 3 wins, could easily be 4 wins, 4-0, but, we'll take the 3-1. So, anyways, let's go ahead here. Quicker video this week, I think. Not a lot. 8 teams at 1-2. I don't know that we've ever seen that kind of, I think every year just the parity just gets more and more. Of those 8 teams, I believe I am the lowest scoring 1-2 team, thanks to Christian McCaffrey. Late Monday morning scratch or Monday afternoon scratch in week 1. Despite that, I'm within 20 points of the 4 seed, the 5 seed rather. So from the 5 seed to the 10 seed, only separated by 21 points. All those teams are within 21 points or less of each other. So it's going to be a hotly contested season. Of course, as the season goes on, some people will suffer. We get into the byes. Oops, forgot my badge. Some people will have byes. Point totals will get deflated. People will get injured more. People will have more boom weeks. You'll start to see more separation. I would be stunned if that tight point spread holds for 8 teams. It's improbable. It's statistically improbable for that to happen. You might have 2 or 3 little clusters of 1 or 2 2 teams, 3 teams, maybe within 30, 40 points of each other. There always is that coming down the wire. But hey, this year it's more important than ever, right? You want to score as many points as you can any given week, just in case you don't get in based off a record. That point total 4 could save your ass. I mean, look at Hawk. 2 weeks, first 2 weeks below 100 points, or right at 100 points. And then this last week he blows up for 170 and jumps me. He's got 10 more points scored than I do, and I put up 130, and 94, right? So it just goes to show the impact of any one week can have on the fantasy landscape. Honestly, scoring is probably the best it has been so far early in the season. It seemed like offenses maybe are starting to adapt to what defenses are throwing at them. A lot of wide receiver scoring this week. I think everybody, the top 6 scoring teams this week did win. I was the 6th by a couple points, but top 6 nonetheless. But I think we had 2 guys below 90. Sheesh. One guy back-to-back weeks. But everybody else, 127 and up. That's by far the best week that we've had. So really encouraging to see that. We'll go ahead and start off with our Blue Bunny game of the week between the Swamp Donkeys and the McCockners. Not a super. It was somewhat of a tight game. I was right on the money saying both of these teams would score below their projection. They did. JD wins 142 to 128 to move to 3-0. Blaine falls to 1-2 back there with the Rat Pack. Really great games. He had Charbonnet thrown in there with Kenny Walker being hurt. He's had 2 really good weeks with Kenneth Walker banged up. 27 points this week. Montgomery just continues to just Mr. Dependable, just like Blaine's nickname. 18, 18, 24. That is amazing running back production. Amazing running back production. St. Brown's getting going again, 23 points. And then you look at the rest of the roster. JSN, not much. Shahid, literally Gooser on 5 targets. Parkinson, nothing. Not that guy. Off the roster, cut. And Bijan had a tough going. Only, what is that, like 2 yards a carry against a pretty solid Kansas City defense. And for JD, really kind of Aaron Jones is looked like a new man, especially after last season. 21, a little bit of a down week last week, but 28 this week. Kyler, a little bit more of a down week for him compared to what he's done the first 2 weeks. Well, I guess 22, 38, 23, pretty good. Rashad White, poopy guy, 6 carries for 17 yards, but 5 catches for 18. So, love that fluff. 9 to somehow get to 9 points. Amari, breakout game, 7 catches, 2 touchdowns. Gibbs, another solid game, 18 points. It's really Aaron Jones and Amari Cooper were kind of the name of the game here to carry JD. DJ Moore had a really solid game as well, 16 points. Tight end continues to be an enigma for so many people in this league. But these 2 teams are certainly struggling with it right now. But JD had good points on the bench. Christian Kirk had 18. Shakir looks like he's the wide receiver 1, 21 points from him. His best game on the early season as well. JD's got... It's what JD does, man. He's just got an incredibly solid team year in, year out. His guys, he's got a shot. If the whole team stays healthy, the big kind of caveat there is, but even if Rashad White struggles and loses his job to Bucky, he throws Gibbs up there at the RB1 spot, and then he puts in Shakir there at the flex. I think he's going to be all right. JD's got an extremely solid team. I think he's going to keep winning a lot of games. And for Blaine, he's just waiting for people to get healthy, right? Keenan Njoku, Puka, Jonathan Brooks. Hopefully all these guys will get back going for him. Of course, you put your faith in Rashid Shaheed, and you're going to have a bad time. That's just, I told you. As soon as you really trust the guy, is one of those players that, poof, fairy dust, he's gone, right? So... anyways, next here we got Curse of the 101 versus the Two-Tone Hog Mollies. Broke my 2-game losing streak to start the season. I don't know that I've ever started 0-3. Maybe 1 year I did. I think 1 year I had a really, really poor start to the season. Just another ho-hum, 130-point week. Nothing to write home about. I think that's kind of seems like that's maybe the league average. An average week is about 130, 125, 130. But our dog shit throw up all over himself, throwing up blood. This is early. This is the earliest I've done. Actually, I fucked up. I was so excited to talk about me winning a game. I forgot I usually save this for last. But, dog shit throw up all over themselves, throwing up blood, pissing blood, losing his, team of the week. For him's team of the week, the Two-Tone Hog Mollies, 81.35 points. I believe, is that the lowest score that we've had on so far? 86 last week from Duncan, 81.1 from Hawk in week 1. So just barely squeaked out to save himself from the low water mark on the season. You can thank Garrett Wilson for catching a touchdown on Thursday night for that. But, it's just, it's not, he's not in a good place right now, Nick's team. He's just not. It's really pathetic. He's got an 81% start-sit accuracy. He continues to leave Braylon Allen on the bench, 10 points. Chase Brown, 10 points. Jaden Reed, 12 points. Mark Andrews, Gooser, again, I believe. Is that 2 out of the last 3 weeks? A Gooser for Mark Andrews? Surely that's not right, is it? No. First time. 3.9 in week 1. Zero in this during this week here. I don't know. The Ravens obviously are at their best, right? When they're running the rock, pound the rock. They can't really pass super well. If you take away the run and force them to beat you through the air like the first 2 teams they played this season did, they can't win. They can't function. And if a team can't stop the run, they're going to keep running. They're not going to stop running. They don't need to throw the ball. They certainly don't need Mark Andrews. But I'm telling you, the old guard of tight end, even some of the new guards this season has been a little shaky, like Sammy Laporta. I mean, Andrews and Kelsey, I just don't know. It's put them on a milk carton because I don't know where they're at. They're not the guys that they used to be. That's for sure. That is for sure. You know, and Anthony Richardson, like I kind of alluded to earlier, I mean, 9 points, 33, 16, 9. What's he going to do this week? 0? -2? I mean, teams adapted to him real quick. You know, you play 2 high safety, you force him to dink and dunk down the field. He can't do it. He can't do it. He's got no accuracy. This goes back to his time at Florida. He's got all the God-given talent and tools that you would think would be a franchise quarterback, like a guy like Jaden Daniels, right? But he's, for some reason, not able to put these things together. Now, granted, the Bears are a very, very good defense, probably one of the top 5 in the league. But 10 for 20? I mean, this guy's completion percentage is 50%. It's dog shit. 2 interceptions, a bad one in the red zone. Bad. I mean, just what are you doing? Just, here you go, other team. I'm done. I don't want to score. Say every time they get to the red zone, Jonathan Taylor, over and over and over again until it works. Because he can't throw in short, intermediate areas. He just can't do it. He can't. So, anyway, Tony Pollard, bomb. What is that? Flying fuck. We got a bad trade offer. Craig will get Gardner Minshew and Romeo Doubs, and Duncan will get Dak Prescott. Seems fair to me. Yikes. I thought for sure that was going to be from Chapman. That was Hayden. Got to start somewhere. Anyways, B-Rob, whatever. I mean, Nick's he's got decent running backs. No great running back, really, I think, on his roster. He really needs his wide receivers to be hitting, and I just don't know that they're going to hit at a consistent rate. The Dolphins are about to have to start Snoop Huntley, right? Tank Dell's dinged up. Marvin's coming. He's emerging. He's great. Garrett is just kind of a solid high-end wide receiver too, in my opinion. That's what he's done his whole career thus far, his young career. Wide receiver 21, 26, 28 so far this season, right? Kind of the same with Olave. But yet, for some reason, guys think that Wilson and Olave are these top 5 commodities at wide receiver when they're not. They're not. They've shown us who they are through 2 in a third or a quarter season almost, and they're just not. For whatever reason, whether it's quarterback, whether it's scheme, I don't know. But they're not those top end, high end guys. Nico Collins is better than these guys, right? I mean, you could make an argument I could make an argument for probably 15 guys easy, right? That are better than those 2 wide receivers, Nick. But whatever. I digress. Great to get a win. 20 points from Metcalf, 20 from Godwin. Honestly, JT was really my saving grace there. 30 points from him. Sutton finally had a nice game, 16 points whenever he's not playing some of the best secondaries in the NFL. I mean, starting with Tyreek Woolen and then going to Joey Porter was a nice change of pace. But now he's back in the gulag playing Sauce Gardner next week. So I continue to get less than 20 points from quarterback for the last 5 seasons, I feel like. I don't score at the quarterback position. It's something I've always neglected going after the top guys. My philosophy is changing. Maybe probably 5 years too late, but it's changing. It's changing because you know you can just see the teams that have these high-end talented quarterbacks and the difference it makes for their teams. Unless you have Mahomes, right? 40 points every week, not quite. But, you know, it's just, hey, I'm just grinding and scratching and clawing, just trying to stay alive, get wins whenever I can. Just if I'm not getting wins, just trying to score, trying to put my team in the best position to score. You know, I've rebuilt a lot of this team. I've got my core pieces in place. But quarterback rebuild, you know, running back having to rebuild, wide receiver flex, having to play games there every single week, and just try to stay sharp, you know, stay in it. It's a unique challenge I keep putting myself in year after year. You would think I would start to be getting good at it. I think I'm better than maybe I used to be. But a lot of it just kind of comes down to luck whenever you're having to pick guys up off the waiver wire. You know, you can do process all day long, and at the end of the day, this is a results league, and you don't know what the results are going to be until the games are over, right? So you just got to keep relying on process, and hopefully eventually it wins out, but knowing me, it usually doesn't. Next here, you got Doesn't Contribute lays a smackdown, the Battle of the Bella Vista Bandits, 162-128 to hand Wilson his first loss on the season. Both of these teams moved to 2-1. You know, Lamar continues to be really great for Wilson. Barkley, number one running back in the league, just a monster. He's having monster games every single week. I mean, that offense just runs through Saquon. It is. I mean, that's their whole offense. Jalen Hurts can't throw. Nick Sirianni's a cheerleader, doesn't know what the hell he's doing on the sideline. Big Dom's just standing there trying to get camera time. What a mess of an organization that is. They could very easily be 0-3. But, you know, the wide receiver, Mike Evans, has had a tough couple of weeks. Obviously, he had the PS2 treatment. You're going to have a bad time. He literally, I think he could honestly lock down any wide receiver in the league. He's proven it. Top guys, middle guys, bottom guys. He is the best corner in the league as of right now. You know, but Demarcus Robinson disappointed. Sammy continues to just don't know what's going on with him. 9.5, 3.8, 6.6. You know, he slots in Mooney 8 for 8 for 66. I mean, great game from him. I'd be stunned to see him leave his lineup. Eckler did get concussed, so a little bit worrisome there. You know, Debo's still dinged up. You know, I think Wilson's team is a little vulnerable, as I'll get to here in the Week 4 preview. But those top two guys can keep him in games, and they can win him games, as they have, to get him his first 2 wins there with Saquon and Lamar. I mean, he got, 70 points from those two guys? I mean, that's elite level production whenever two guys can combine for over half of your point total on a week. So, and for Craig, I mean, you know, Josh Allen had 41 points by halftime on Monday night. You know, there was a slight inkling of a chance if Josh had a game like he had against the Dolphins, that he could have, you know, we could have gotten back in the game, could have won the game with Eckler. Josh put that to bed real quick. 45 from him. The Rams' furious comeback. Kyren Williams, got to get your guy. Kyren Williams, 3 touchdowns. I just don't get Kyren Williams, dude. I still don't think he's good. I don't think he's good at all. But you know, he's sitting here as the damn RB4 on the season. You know, it makes no sense. Evershe Rice. I mean, just oh my gosh, dude. Sleeper. I don't want to click on the game. I don't care about the game stats. I want to click on these guys' fucking names. There's like 4 different links within one little line for a player's name. If you click on one thing, you're going to get something wrong. You can't just go back. Number 2 wide receiver on the season. Dump off, check down. King, 19, 19, and 32. Just absolute monster numbers. Monster numbers. I mean, this guy might finish as the wide receiver 1 on the season. He might be the next Tyreek Hill. He's a piece of shit. Drag racing, getting people potentially injured and killed on highways. But that's what the Chiefs do, right? The Chiefs don't care about character concerns. They don't care. Call them the Georgia Bulldogs, right? The Chiefs are the Georgia Bulldogs of the NFL. Just come as you are, right? We'll take you. You beat your wife, you beat your kids. Tyreek, come on, I think they got Areza, didn't they? Is that their punter? Is Areza on the Chiefs? The guy who, allegedly raped somebody, right? I mean, who else is bad on that team? Kareem, they just re-signed Kareem Hunt. We know his problem. I know his legal problems for sure. Hey, if that's the type of organization you support and the kind of players you support, Craig, more power to you. Hey, every guy's got their price, I guess, right? So, really that was it. I mean, Josh and Rasheed really kind of carried the day for Craig and Kyron, of course, because James Conner did nothing, 3.5 after 2 back-to-back 20-point weeks. Lazard continues to be a solid kind of guy there, 15 points from him. Zay was a Houdini disappearing act after a strong start to the season. Kincaid did look like he's maybe going to get going here. And QJ, all he does is catch touchdowns now. So it's good for him. Good for him. Proud of him. And then Odunze coming on the bench, 25. I mean, geez, holy wide receiver. McMillan, Odunze, Dortch, Tolbert, Quentin, Rice, Zay, Lazard. Plethora of wide receivers. That running back depth is thin. I don't know why Blake Corum is still on a roster, to be quite honest with you. He literally is not playing in games. He has played snaps, so he's keeper eligible, but all the guys that Craig has as keeper options, Corum would not be one of those guys, even if Kyron were to go down, and I just don't see it. But, whatever, teach their own. I'm not going to tell people how to manage their roster. What other running backs could he pick up? I guess. And then Javonte on the bench. Good for Javonte's. He's not that guy anymore. Unfortunately, it's sad to see. So whatever. Great win for Craig. He'll find a way to go 500 still. So next here, All You Need Is Love versus the Father Figures. Rip wins 142 to 127 to get his first win on the season. Ford, half the league was in on his under. Hit by a mile. He was, probably 25 points under his projection. And if Keon Coleman doesn't catch that touchdown, he's even less so. Guy was benched for the first 2 drives, didn't play like the whole first quarter. So Michael Pittman, he's again, he's a little slot, an intermediate guy. He's not a slot guy, he's an intermediate guy. Check down. That's why he was so good last year with Minshew, because Minshew, all he did was throw short. He's not the burner. He's not the deep threat. I think he's going to continue to struggle for as long as Anthony Richardson keeps the starting job, which if they keep losing, you got to start questioning how long is that going to be. So, but Devontae is a wide receiver 1, solid 17 points. CD disappointed, 10 points. Zamir, that running back room is dog dick, Ford, especially with Kenny Walker banged up. And Kenny Walker might not get his job back the way Charbonnet has been playing, at least a timeshare. You got to think at least a timeshare whenever KW gets back. But, Dak, comeback mode against Baltimore, 42 points. Again, this under should have been on ice long before. Because Dak was sitting at like 10 points, something like that, going into the second half. And then the Ravens started dicking around and let the Cowboys back in the game, didn't recover an onside kick, and playing shell coverage that Dak was just picking apart to get him to 42 points. Because really, Ford, realistically, if the Ravens played smart, Ford should have been at about 100 points this week. Let's just be honest. He should have been at about 100 points this week. And for Rip, the Juwan Jennings game, right? Rip doesn't win this game if he doesn't play Juwan Jennings, and he really didn't really have much of a choice. It was really his only other guy that he could have played was Christian Watson. If he played Christian Watson, he loses this game. There's one of these guys every year, right? Thank God it just wasn't against me this year, right? Noah Brown did it last year to me. Some obscure journeyman wide receiver pops off for 100-plus yards, multiple touchdowns. 11 for 175 and 3 touchdowns. And somehow only had 4 receiving first downs. So I guess 7 of his 11 catches either went for a first down or a touchdown. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. See if he can keep it up. I bet he can't. But Brees solid, 20 points. Goff, finally has his best game in 24 points. But early on in that game, it was looking like the Dak drop from last year was going to be Goff this year. That he kind of came back down to reality a little bit, missed some throws, threw some picks. Jameson, yuck. Kyle Pitts, mid as fuck. He had one huge catch. Should have been a touchdown, to be honest. Not it. Alexander Madison, three carries for 7 yards. Happens to get a goal line touchdown to salvage his line. But Chuba looks like he's unlocked with that Panthers offense with the red rifle. 33 points from him. Hey, Rip's got a decent little stable of running backs there. Rip's fine. Rip's got a fine team. He's struggling at quarterback just like until Jordan Love comes back. But I think he's got enough to kind of weather. Ayuk, man. Ayuk's just been a little bit of a disappointment, hasn't he? 5, 9, and 11 points. I don't know if he's just getting taken away, if he's not in football shape. I don't know what the deal is with him. But next here we got the highest scoring team on the week. Living on Burrow time. Quarterback changed. Embraces quarterback finally. Not a concussed quarterback. Not even on his roster. Wins 181.9. I believe that's the high watermark on the season. Yes, just edges out Connor, who scored 180.15 last week, or 2 weeks ago, rather, in week 2. So Hawk has the highest scoring total and the lowest scoring total on the season. Very curious if he keep that up. I bet he won't. Once we get into the buys, somebody's going to be in the 70s. Somebody's going to be in the 70s, and it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad for them. Hawk, the 3 winless teams all got their first win. You knew that there's a chance of this, right? Hawk beat his projection by about 40 points almost. He got 40 points from Burrow, 35 points from King Henry, 31 points from Chase, 30 points from Goddard, 20 points from Singletary. Just monster weeks. Pickens, Downs, and Cam Akers didn't do much. Didn't matter, right? It didn't matter. But he still doesn't have really much of a bench to speak of. But there's some potential there, I would say. I think that good for Hawk. If ever there was a bounce back game to be had for Burrow and Jamar, even though they lost the game, Bengals still stink. Playing that Commander secondary, you want as many fantasy assets going in that matchup, pass catchers and quarterbacks as you can, I think. So good for Hawk. I think he's going to come crashing back down to reality a little bit next week. I do think so, but teams take away the run against King Henry. But the Cowboys just got gashed, so Singletary might have another great game. Singletary's been extremely solid so far this season. 10, 16, 20 points each of the last 3 weeks. And then it's Savoy, 127. Not terrible, right? Olave had 22 points, got a touchdown. Diggs continues to impress. Wide receiver 10 on the season, back in the 20-point range. Dobbins kind of came crashing back down. 10 points from Gesicki. You're going to live with 10 points at a tight end in this hellscape that it has been for so many teams. Devontae, the Raiders just got boat raced by the Panthers. They came out, got hit in the mouth, and really the whole offense struggled for it. But James Cook did his work early, 20 points. Jordan Mason, a little bit more of a ho-hum game for him, but 13 points. Stroud continues to be a disappointment. You got to think for Savoy, it's time to embrace his true QB1. There's maybe 2 quarterbacks that you should start over Jaden Daniels the rest of the season. They're not on Savoy's roster. They're not. Jaden Daniels should not leave. I don't care how good C.J. Stroud's matchups are. Jaden Daniels should not leave his starting lineup unless he's on bye or injured. And he needs to change his name from the Stroud Boys to something else because Stroud has forsaken him. Stroud has gotten him to 1-2. Not really. That's not really fair, but he still would have lost even if he played Jaden Daniels. But I think it's time. I think it's time to make a change. Savoy's always wanted to change his team name 2 or 3 times a season anyway. He made a slight change, Stroud Boys question mark. Let's just go all the way in, buddy. Just do it. I think he'll be happy to do it. And then I said it was going to be, that's 30 minutes in. I haven't even got to the preview yet. Dirty Birds, they beat the fuck out of Duncan, 152-87. Plunk's the best team in the league, 3-0. Team's a wagon. Duncan's team is on life support. It's dead. He's dying. He's 1-2. I feel he's had one good week, right? In the first 3 weeks, just happened. His team. The only time his team was healthy was against me, right? Otherwise, I could be 2-1. Instead, I'm 1-2. Not that I deserve to win with 94 points, but yeah, Duncan. Sorry. Hopefully, better times are ahead, but probably not. Not for the foreseeable future. Another huge waiver run today. Topped off with Wan'Dale Robinson going to Ford for 38 fab. Hawk was in for 10. I was in for 6. You got to play him this week, Josh. You better. I mean, you can't spend that kind of capital and not play your guy. He also picks up DeMario Douglas, 21. I was in for 4 on him. Savoy picks up Hopkins for 16. Wilson was in for 4 on him. Conklin goes to Wilson for 14. Just sniped. Ding, ding, sniped. The White Chocolate, 59. 13 fab for him. Plunk was in for 1. Cole Kmet goes to Blaine as a consolation prize for 9. Plunk was in for 4. Savoy also picks up Emmanuel Wilson, backup running back extraordinaire for 9. Beat out Blaine for 6 and me for 3. And then I get Michael Wilson for 5. Nobody was in on him. I thought certainly, right? I'm not the only one seeing this, right? I mean, he had a good game last week. They're playing the worst secondary in the league this week. I know MHJ is there, but multiple people can eat, clearly, right? Did you not see what Andre Yoshivash did? Yoshi? I know T. Higgins didn't do anything, but T. Higgins doesn't like playing football. He dropped 2 touchdowns, right? And then I picked up Tyrone Tracy for 2. So, anyways, let's go ahead here and get into a preview of this week's matchups. We'll start off here. What's going to be the game of the week, right? Oh, yeah, it's got to be that, right? Got to be that. Man, back-to-back weeks. Wow. First 2 is going to be back-to-back teams for the first. Wow. Anyway, interesting. Spoiler. Yeah, just gave it away if you're paying attention at home. Curse of the 101 versus Flo's Fury. Wilson's projected to win 133-129. Right now he's got a guy who's projected out. I never know. It used to be a couple years ago, concussions, minimum, you get it in the game, you're out the next week, guaranteed. The last year or so, it seemed like that shifted where you can get concussed and you could still play the next week. I don't know what's going on anymore. We'll see. If he doesn't, he's going to put in DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift is going to have a 25-point game, guaranteed. Just book that. Mike Evans a little dinged up. The coach said he wants to get Mike Evans going, so I could foresee him having a huge monster game. Keenan, a little dinged up, should be back. Wilson's got a lot of juicy matchups this week. I think mine are a little bit on the tougher side. I like this momentum that I'm getting going here. I really think that some of my guys' projections is a little insulting, to be quite honest. I think they're a little bit underwhelming. A lot of guys, Patrick Mahomes, 40 points every week. What's he done? 26 is like his highest score, right? And, these guys, Godwin, Metcalf, they've been putting up 20-point weeks and still can't get to that 20-point projection mark. It's quite disappointing. And I'm going to say, for Wilson, I don't think it's going to be a good week for him. I don't. You don't need a bust pass for me to bust your ass, buddy. All right? Because that's what's going to happen this week. Okay? In the eloquent words of Lil Tunchi, right? You're going down. Right? Taylor's version, big. All right, bucket. Over. All right, you want to make. We've been making a lot of money on these unders. All right, you want to make some money this week? You bet my team total under, because it's going to dip even more by the time I set my lineup. By the time I fully set my lineup, it might be down in the 120, like 120. All right, and I promise you, it's a commish guarantee that is going to be an over for the team total. Hammer. All right, next here, Swamp Donkeys versus the Father Figures, 150 to 144. This screams under now. That one was over. This one screams under to me, right? 150 for Blaine. He hasn't really touched that this season, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe he has. I don't know. I'm spitballing here. I can't keep track of everything. Has he? 113, 130, 128. Hadn't touched it. For Ford, I don't think he's going to hit that either. He's got some guys dinged up, and I think this is a good. I like to just take the total. I like the total under in this one. But as far as a winner goes, I think Mahomes maybe finally goes scorched earth a little bit. We'll go with Blaine in that one. I like Blaine to get to 500. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, Blaine. Next here, you got All You Need Is Love versus the Two-Tone Hog Mollies. Rips projected to win 145 to 139. Yeah, I mean, Nick, you can't score 81 points and expect to get picked to win. I think 30 points for Anthony Richardson against Pittsburgh, who's maybe been top 3, top 1 defense in the league so far, just seems asinine to me. Garrett Wilson's going to be on Pat Surtain a vast majority of the game. That seems asinine to me. Now, Marvin probably will go for 30 points. I just don't see it. Rip's going to win that one. Nice engagement present for him, right? First engagement present was obviously getting a win this last week, picking up his first win of the season. And I think that good luck continues as he's on his Euro trip vacation. So, anyway, next here we got Doesn't Contribute versus the Stroud Boys. Craig projected to win 146 to 138. Not really much to talk about here. Craig is a 500 Jeff Fisher merchant. Savoy somehow, some way, he does have Jaden Daniels in his lineup. That's great to see. He's going to win because of that decision right there. If he really wants to cement it, change your team name, and that will be a stone cold lock. The plus there, plus 8, might be good. Might be the first spread bet of the year. Just saying. And then our penultimate matchup, Living on Burrow Time versus Kickers Lives Matter, 141 to 139. Yikes. I like the under in this one too, to be quite honest with you. I just, Carolina's found new life. I think Buffalo's really going to try to load up against the run. I'm going to go with Hawk, though. I think Hawk, yeah. I mean, again, it's kind of like the same with Nick, right? I mean, the way Duncan's team has performed the last 2 weeks, you got no confidence picking this guy, right? So we'll go with Hawk to get on a little 2-game win streak. And then that brings us to our game of the week. Let's see. Again, we're really low on supplies here, guys. I do apologize. I got to hurry up here. I got to go pick up my wife soon. I don't know. What could it be? All this cheese is probably bad. I don't know. It doesn't look like it's molded. Maybe it is. I don't know when we open this. Give it a quick smell. I think it's fine, maybe. Is that white? Should that be white? I don't know. Maybe that's mold. I probably shouldn't risk it. Hold on. are Brindley Gold Shipwreck Coconut Rum Cream Game of the Week. The Caribbean rum with real dairy cream and natural flavors. Our family's version of a classic coquito. Coquito. Am I saying that right? I believe. 15% alcohol by volume. So basically, kind of like a glass of wine. What you have here is an incredible blend of real dairy cream, natural coconut, and Caribbean rum. Enjoy it neat, on the rocks, or mixed. Cheers. The Brindleys. We actually bought this on our honeymoon cruise to the Caribbean. They had a little 2-for-1 special going on. We got right. We gotta buy some souvenirs, right? Some merch. This is the second bottle. I've already ripped through the first one. But anyway, it's pretty good. I usually just drink it straight up. It looks basically just like milk. That's kind of what I think it is. So anyways, Brindley Gold Shipwreck Coconut Rum Cream, the official rum cream of the Bring That Wood Fantasy Football League. And I do have a shot glass here. Come on. Boop. Look at that. Cute little cork. St. Louis Aquarium. Otter. Favorite animal. Love it. Okay. You want to see it? Can you see it? I don't want to spill it out. Yeah, you can't even see it. It's white. That's all it is, right? WHIT. You can kind of see a little bit on the... Yeah, see that? There it is. Cheers. Yum. Very smooth, very creamy. Bailey's. Anyways, 2 undefeated teams. 2 3-0 teams. The only 3-0 teams in the league. Dirty Birds of War versus the McCockners. Back-to-back weeks for JD in the game of the week. Worked out well for him last week, just like Wilson in his first, and not so much the second time, right? So this is now, we've had 2 teams be repeats in back-to-back game of the weeks. Never been done before in league history. They said it couldn't be done. I'm doing it. Watch me, all right? Battle of the quarterback, you got Jalen Hurts versus Kyler Murray. It should be a very, very high-scoring game here for both of these guys. But Murray playing the worst secondary in the NFL. I think he's going to have a field day. I think Murray might go for 40. I think Murray could very easily go for 40 this week. So we'll go with Kyler in that. Jalen's going to get his. Jalen's going to get probably 30 points. I wouldn't be surprised. But Kyler, slight edge there. Battle of the running backs. You got Jahmyr Gibbs versus Aaron Jones versus Devon Achane and maybe Joe Mixon. Reports today said he was still week to week. Usually week to week means you're not playing this week. Not at practice today. Doesn't seem like he's going to play. If he doesn't play, I mean, I guess he puts in Najee. Probably would be my guess. It's a tough one. Seattle's got a really good defense, but you got to. Achane 20 points seems high to me. 163 seems high to me, given the matchups that Connor has. I just think that Tennessee is going to have to load up, try to stop the run. Dare Miami to beat them with the pass, right? Because Miami's got great pass catchers, but no quarterback. Excuse me. So I think I'm going to have to give an edge to JD in that one. Battle of the wide receivers. You got Nico, DJ Moore, Amari Cooper versus Jay Jetta, Malik Neighbors, and Drake London. Tough matchups for Connor. Jefferson's got Jair Alexander on him. Malik's going to have Trayvon Diggs, even though Trayvon Diggs is overrated, right, as I've said. And Drake London, is Lattimore still there? Marshawn Lattimore, maybe, corner. Those tough divisional NFC North or South, rivalry games. Versus JD's really got some primo matchups. I like the names maybe more on Connor's side, but I think production-wise, I'm going to have to go with JD in this one too. You're going to be shocked who I pick after all this. You're going to be shocked. And then McBride, he's dealing with concussion, may not play. no practice today. Like I said, is this the new concussion protocol? Is this for a couple years ago? I don't know. If he doesn't play, he has no other tight end on his roster at the moment. He'll be lucky to get 5 points. So I'm going to assume Trey doesn't play, and if he doesn't play, I'm just going to push this because I don't think Henry's going to do shit either. So, and then battle of the flex, Deontay Johnson versus Shakir. I'm going to go with Shakir actually in this one because I think Deontay's going to kind of come crashing back down to reality a little bit, regress. The offense just can't be as good as it was last week, right? I think that was an anomaly. That being said, I'm going to go with Connor. I'm going to go with Connor to win just because it's just history, right? Wilson, game of the week, first week, won. Second week, game of the week, lost. JD, game of the week last week, won. Game of the week this week, he's going to lose, right? It's just science. It's just math. Just numbers, guys. So anyways, that's all I got this week, fellas. Hogs are playing A&M. I'm sure that game's going to go great. I'm sure it's going to be really fun for us. I'm sure we're going to find a way to win it. But still lose, right? So, anyways, good luck this week, fellas. And as always, stay safe out there. And as always, whoop pig.